Hey everyone, it's Natalie. I'm on my computer today because my phone video is not working all that well. So hopefully you can hear me and everything will be okay doing it on my computer. But today, and yes, I'm doing the religious narcissist. I left it at work today. My son is sick and I'm at home, so I'm not going to do that today. But next video I will. So today we're going to focus on if you went no contact, how that feels, why you feel guilty, why you feel fear, why sometimes you reminisce about the narcissist, things like that. So, in my experience, and I'll be talking from my experience, you may be different, but this is my experience. I know that it took a long time to finally get the strength to go no contact. I had wanted to go no contact for a long time, but I won't lie, I was fearful. And I didn't want to put that type of pressure on my husband because, you know, I want my husband to have everything. So for years, I allowed this abuse to happen because of fear and guilt. And I wanted to please my partner. But there comes a time where you cannot take that abuse anymore. Like you've done it your partner's way for years. Nothing ever got better, no matter how many times they talked to their parent, no matter how many times they said to ignore different things, little quirks about their parents' behavior. It's just like you can't ignore it when it continues to happen in a cycle of, I don't know, this cycle that continues. It's total disregard for who you are as a person. I mean, no matter, even if you confront them and ask them not to do something, they still do it. They might behave for maybe a month or something, but they're still doing stuff in the background to upset you. And there comes a time where you're like, you know what? For the first time in many years, I'm going to do it my way. And as scary as it is, you are left with no other alternative. You have tried to do things your partner suggested. Yourself maybe stayed calm, collective, and quiet. Maybe you've even ignored them crossing boundaries. Maybe you've allowed them to cross boundaries because you just didn't want conflict. But that stuff really starts to add up. And I know in my case, I just couldn't take it anymore. It's like sometimes when I saw my mother-in-law, she was on good behavior. She was nice, polite, and courteous and everything. But more often than not, she was arrogant and entitled and self-righteous, and she didn't care that she was whispering about me to my husband. She didn't care that she was using my son as a weapon, even using my husband as a weapon to fulfill her hidden agenda. And as bad as I wanted that relationship to work, I just saw that it wasn't, because she had acted that way, rude more times than she acted nice. There wasn't a balance there. Because, we all understand people can have bad days and you forgive those bad days. But when they're malicious, intentional, how can you forgive that? How long are you going to tolerate behavior like that from someone that's your family? This isn't some random person. This is your family. And you expect a lot better treatment than that. And so I found myself, I know at first I started just to distance myself. So I hadn't fully went no contact. She was doing stuff I didn't like, really, really disrespecting me. And I started to push away from that relationship, even though we really didn't have a close relationship per se. I just said, well, the little bit of contact that I do have, the little bit of, like, I don't know, just allowing the little bit of her being in our life, I had to get out. And so I found myself excluding her from, phone calls, excluding her from like family decisions and stuff like that, because when, as my family, my family, immediate family, we would make certain decisions and kind of not only run them by my husband's parents, but run them by my parent, and just kind of talk to them about certain family decisions. And of course, my mom was very supportive. My brothers were very supportive. But when it came to my husband's parents, they were very critical. Instead of supporting certain decisions in our family, they would criticize them and not support them, or say we have to do it this way. So I knocked that off. I was like, honey, we can no longer talk to them about anything in our family. Literally, we're just going to have to, be very surface with our conversations with them. And then I started pushing away from family events like holidays, vacations. If we used to live 20 minutes from them, so they would invite us over all the time. And I just slowly started to push back on that. And I know that his mom could tell that what I was doing, because she complained to my husband about, your wife doesn't like me. She never wants to be around me. She never talks to me. Well, there was a reason for that. And it's almost like it was like I consciously was pushing away, but unconsciously I wasn't really aware of what I was doing, to be honest. I just know that myself was needing to protect from abuse. Like, I needed to protect myself from abuse. And your mind and body work in really weird ways, where if it knows it's in danger, it's going to protect you. And so my mind and emotional state and body and everything was protecting me from my narcissist. And it's really weird, because like at the same time I was like, okay, I've got to, really got to start cutting ties with this person. At the same time, my body, my mind, my mouth was already doing that long before I consciously made that decision, if that makes sense to you. So I did find myself doing that, pushing myself away, but I found that it still wasn't good enough, that I needed to fully go no contact because of her behaviors. Even though I had pushed myself away and pushed my family away from her, excluding us from family holidays, all this stuff, I found that still wasn't good enough. And so then you make that decision to go no contact, because just like even distancing yourself from this person still was not protecting you the way that you should be protected. And so when we decided to go no contact, which is a huge story in its own, maybe I'll tell that story one day. I don't think at first she knew that we were going to go no contact, because what she was doing was like sending mail, like, or presents in the mail, birthday cards, gifts to my son and everything. And when I decided in that moment to go no contact, after she like started sending stuff, it's like she knew, but she was testing the waters. Like, she knew we were going no contact, but she started testing the waters with sending gifts. After deciding going no contact, if she sent something in the mail, I would send it back to her, even though it cost me $20 every time I had to send a gift back. If they gave my husband money for like his birthday or Christmas, like checks in the mail, I'd rip them up. He wasn't allowed to cash them. And honestly, he really didn't want to either. But I think after we started sending the gifts back, that's when she realized, like, oh, like sending gifts told her, yeah, we're going no contact. So she started ramping up her manipulative behaviors. And she was sending texts to my husband of family memories and family baby pictures and asking my husband when he's going to come visit. And because my husband is so used to her manipulative behaviors, instead of responding back like, "Oh, that was a nice family memory," he just didn't reply. So this happened for about 2 years. He stopped replying. And then the phone calls started with her crying like a little crybaby, because you can only cry wolf so many times before people realize that you're the wolf. You know what I mean? So, or should I say, I guess that's not really what I should say, but people like to act like the victim. And then when they realize that the victim is really the perpetrator, there's no hiding behind that. That's what I should say. So when she started crying and all that, I was like, I told my husband, just, you got to stop talking to her, and he had just went back into contact with them when this happened. So, but let me carry on. There just comes a time where you have to do no contact. So when you first go no contact, you'll find that you have a lot of guilt and shame and blame, and you're scared, fear of the unknown. This is maybe the first time you ever went no contact. So you just don't know what it's going to look like in the future without these people in your life. So you are nervous. You're like, is this the best decision? Is this the healthiest decision for me? Like, am I really going to gain something out of this no contact? And of course you are, because at first you don't really know, because you're still an abuse victim that has been traumatized to the fullest extent. So since you don't know the unknown of going no contact, you really start having these thoughts in your head of if you're going to be able to make it. And of course, we all know that you do make it. And then you find that you find how much better things are in your life. But at first, I'm not going to lie, for months, actually, for the first year, I felt a tremendous amount of guilt, especially because my husband was going around making, having a sob party for himself, just sad and depressed, and kept trying to convince me like they'll change. And I told him, after 19 years, they've never changed. What makes you think they're going to change? So it was really hard at first. But the good news, everyone, is that things start to get better. And it's, at first you just kind of have to feel the guilt, because I think it's healthy to do that. I think it's really healthy to feel whatever feelings that you have. That way you know the feelings you have and you know what you need to work on. So it's not a bad thing to feel guilt. I have a glare. It's not a bad thing to feel whatever you're feeling. Feel it. And then say, okay, I have to work on that. Pinpoint it. And journal and ask yourself, why am I feeling this guilt? What did I do wrong? And you will find, journaling, that you didn't do anything wrong. That this guilt you have is a manipulation tactic that the narc has used on you your whole life. Well, you need me. Things like that. Like, you're not going to make it without me. What are you going to do if something happens without me? And so they're using this scare tactic to keep you in contact with them. And that right there speaks volumes to me. It shows you that the whole time you've been in a relationship with this narc, They have been bullying you into a relationship with them. And who would want to be in a relationship with a bully? And so once the guilt starts wearing off, you will come to the fact that you have a lot of anger. The anger that you feel from the years of betrayal, mistrust, manipulation and arrogance and entitlement and everything that they've shown. You start to seethe. I mean, it's like, that cartoon where like the steam comes out of the ears when they're really mad. I mean, you feel like that because you think to yourself, why would anyone ever treat me this way? Couldn't they just love me and accept me for who I am? Then you question yourself, why did I allow them to do this to me? And you really sit there and you're baffled that you would ever allow someone to do this to you. But in a lot of cases, especially if you're your parents, you didn't have a choice. And because you've grown up with this person your whole life, for the longest time, you just thought it was their normal behavior. Like, this is how moms and dads act. But once you get a little bit older, and then you can do comparisons of like what healthy and unhealthy is, you see, whoa, I come from a very toxic place. And so when you're dealing with toxic in-laws and your spouse has come from a toxic narcissistic family cult, the things that they have normalized in their family are absolutely abnormal. And I think you as the spouse can help your partner wake up to the fact that's not a healthy relationship. But I have talked to a lot of people where the son or the daughter eventually wakes up to the abuse by the parent, and they initiate no contact or very low contact. However, unfortunately, many golden children never see it, because you have to remember the golden child, the forgotten child, and the scapegoat all have completely different experiences with that narcissist. So if the scapegoat went and told the golden child that the mother or father has been using all these manipulative tactics, treating them unfair, all this, right? The golden child, because they have never experienced that, will not believe the scapegoat. And matter of fact, will protect the narcissist. And then what that golden child does is goes back and tells the narcissist what the scapegoat told him. The golden child is not to be trusted, and it's really by their own ignorance, because they've been getting spoiled and praised this whole time. They're selfish. So when the forgotten child or the scapegoat gets treated badly in front of their face, they ignore it because they're too busy getting the praise and affection from that narcissist. And so maybe I should do a video on the family cult, like diagram of that, I guess I could say. Because it's really interesting how all these different children all have different experiences. But if you are married to a golden child, that golden child, I'm sorry to say, but more than likely will not protect you. And I'm sorry to say that. because I know some of you know that you're married to a golden child. If you know you are, look at the situation you're in right now. Very few golden children will stand up and protect their wife because they have been too busy protecting that narcissist since birth that they are on a mission, okay? So if you ask your spouse to protect you, they're too busy with this mission to start a new mission, and they don't find that mission as important as the mission with the narcissist. So what I'm trying to bring in conclusion with the golden child is that going no contact when your spouse is a golden child is slim to none. They'll talk crap about you to their parent. They'll smear you to their parent. All this, right? They'll do everything. They gaslight you to their parent. They're flying monkeys with their parent. Everything. Honestly, I could never be married to a golden child. It wouldn't work. And they'll always deny any of their misconduct, of the narc's misconduct. But back to the fact that if you're trying to go no contact with the scapegoat, what I can say is that, or no contact with the narc, and you're married to the golden child. What I can say is keep, as horrible as this sounds, keep your business to yourself. Do not share it with your spouse, period. I don't know what type of marriage that is, but I can guarantee you the scapegoat is telling the
golden
narcissist
child, not
everything.
scapegoat.
And if you're married to a scapegoat or the forgotten child, no contact is a lot easier because they've witnessed the abuse. They know you're not lying. They know you're telling the truth. Now, not all the time the scapegoat or forgotten child wants to go full no contact because remember, they've normalized their parents' behavior, but a lot of times they go very low contact. And that's good. But you, regardless if you're married to the scapegoat, the golden child, the forgotten child, whatever it is, you personally do not have to be in contact with the narcissist. I don't care what your partner says. You are a human being. And if you decide you don't want to be treated with disrespect, disregard, then you have that right to protect yourself. And I suggest you do. If any three of those children of the narc decide to be in contact, there's got to be rules, which my last video, just watch that. There are some things I suggest that you can do to go, while you're in no contact and your partner's still in low contact. But just the whole thing, though, this is my conclusion. My conclusion is that after you go no contact with these people, because more than likely it may have been your first time to ever be serious about going no contact, it's scary, but you get over it. It gets better with time. The fear definitely goes away because once you see you don't need them, you make it just fine without them, the fear definitely goes away. But the guilt might be there for a while. But just remember why you went no contact. That will help the guilt. There's a reason why you went no contact. Don't forget it. Because the problem with us before we went no contact is we were not standing up for ourselves. We were allowing that abuse to happen consecutively in a cycle, constantly. We allowed it to keep the peace. So when you have enough guts to go no contact, remember one thing. The narcissist never changes. So when you're feeling guilty about going no contact, remember that. They don't care about you. They only want their supply. So when you find yourself self-doubting and saying, well, maybe they'll change. Maybe they got the point now that I went no contact for a few months or a year. Maybe I can give them another chance. All the work that you've done, it will go right out the window and you will start right back where you are, or where you were before going no contact. So I suggest that if you go no contact, you don't let the guilt run the pony show, right? You don't do that. You make sure that you are making wise decisions. You are making sure that you are never going to put yourself back in harm's way because of guilt. You know what I mean? So, and on top of that, if you allow this narcissist back in your life, dude, they're going to have it after you. They're going to have a vendetta, because how dare you go no contact with them? And they're going to make you pay. But it gets better with time. Give it time. Don't let your partner or whoever it is, family members, convince you that the narcissist got the point and that they've changed and things will be different and they're going to treat you better. They won't. Don't let someone guilt you back in a relationship with the narc. Especially if you're dealing with guilt, it's really easy just to be like, well, maybe I'm over exaggerating this. You're not. Think about how long it took you to finally go no contact. Do you really want to be sucked back in because of guilt or fear? Everyone has fear of the unknown. Duh. I mean, if we were all psychic, then we wouldn't have no fear, right? So, but you will find in that fear that there's nothing to be fearful of. The narc has all just played you, made you believe that you better fear the world without them. It gets easier, guys. And I know it's hard on your partner or family members when you go no contact because they wanted it to work. But the narc obviously did not care what their child wanted. Because if they did, it would have never blossomed into this ugly relationship that you're in with them. So, as hard as it is to watch your spouse go through all these emotions and looking, like a wet puppy dog who just got out of the bathtub, with the tail between their legs and all that, you have to realize that your partner needs to feel those emotions, and as hard as it is to watch them go through that, be supportive. Show them empathy. Don't just attack them because you went no contact. Now you're free of this, and now you want to say exactly what you thought for many years about that person to your partner. Your partner cannot control what the narc did or said to you. They have no control over it. So if you find this newfound freedom in your no contact, doesn't mean that your partner did. So you show him support and empathy and you sympathize with him. On the other hand, too, if you have a partner who is basically putting his foot down and says, no, we're not going no contact with my parents. I don't care what you say, blah, 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 blah. You need to go see a counselor. Because that's not healthy. You can't allow your partner to force you into a relationship with somebody that abuses you. That's abuse. Your partner is abusing you by forcing you. If you force someone to do something, you are abusing them. So, really, the golden child is a whole other story. I could do another video on just the golden child not wanting to go no contact and not allowing you to go no contact. But thank God If you're married to a forgotten child or the scapegoat because they have experienced the abuse for so long, most of the time they will support you. They might want a little contact, but that's when you lay rules and boundaries down with them about that contact. So yeah, things will get better going no contact. Do your research, do your homework, whatever, and read up on, the whole no contact guilt. All right? Peace, love, harmony. See you guys later.